Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. I have a wild hairstyle today, so I'm rocking the actual wild beaver hat for this video, but that is okay. This is going to be the Warwrath Beta Warlock feedback document update video and all that, explaining, I guess, what the feedback and what I would like to see for Clash Tree, AF, Demo Destro, everything heading into the, I guess, early stages of beta in the Warwrath. Blizzard is speedrunning beta. We've got a crazy amount of things happening. We have raid testing starting in 2 days, and Plus is opening at the same time. It's going to be a crazy few months. So there's a lot to get going here, a lot to get done, but that is that. Hopefully this video helps out a little bit feedback wise. I wanted to mention briefly that the Warwrath Beta Warlock spreadsheet will indeed be going live on Patreon in a couple days. If you like early access to that, the tier 3 failure rank or higher Patreon does indeed get that, but it does go live public. It does go public eventually, regardless. And also, if you want to link to this feedback document or any kind of weak wars add-ons in the video, links to that down below in the description. And honestly, with that being said, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover. Alrighty, so we're going Clash Tree, and then 1, 2, 3 specs. I don't even know what order it's in at this point, but I want to try and highlight, the talents, everything over here, and show the actual feedback over here. I can't put it in dark mode. I'm sorry. It looks like this, and I can't read like this. It hurts my eyes. I'm old. So sorry. Gotta deal with it, but, I love y'all. Alright, so getting into the Clash Tree, off the bat, we hit on the Clash Tree a little bit in early beta when it came, early alpha when it came to like initial feedback and stuff, but sort of hit on more of the spec trees or overhauls coming into them. But I want to hit on the actual Clash Tree itself because there are some new talents that are exciting and all that. We're pretty limited when it comes to talents in the Clash Tree. First off, first thing I want to hit on is actually Fiendish Stride. Fiendish Stride has been nerfed a crazy amount. I mean, it is pretty strong when it comes to retail and things. Now, they've reduced the speed from, I believe, 30% roughly on retail, I believe, to a 10% increase now, which, I mean, 10%, honestly, sorry, it's 20%. But realistically, Fiendish Stride wasn't taken for the actual speed increase. It was nice and convenient and all that, but it was taken for the damage reduction, right? Unfortunately, damage reduction has been nerfed from 25 and 50 at rank 1 and 2 to 10%, with there only being a 1 rank talent in Warwrath. In its current form, it's never going to be taken. 10% off a Burning Rush is basically irrelevant. It might have been a bit too strong, nerfing it, but cutting it in half by 50% essentially, but making this node like 30% at a rank 1, you could even nerf the speed a bit. I don't know, I'm not even sure, it doesn't matter a whole lot, but some kind of additional damage reduction here would be nice, because honestly, our tree is pretty limited, and it was nice to have the damage reduction, but in this form, it's never going to be played. It likely needs a buff for the actual damage reduction on Fiendish Stride. Getting into more general stuff here in the Clash Tree, just hitting on 2-point talents. We have a lot in the Clash Tree. Demon Skin, Fell Armor, Crew Vitality, Lifeblood, Demonic Resilience, Resolute Barrier, Sarkathar's Guile, Sarah Technique, Soul Link, Fell Synergy. That is, I believe, 10. I can count. 1, 2, 3, 10, sure. This is more like a general just thing here. I mean, like, even in the second row, we have 2 Fell Armor, 2 Demon Skin. We're basically locked into Demonic Inspiration, Wrathful Minion, and 2 points in Sagara Technique, and 2 points in Sarkathar's Guile. Now, while they are damage-based spells on our Clash Tree and all that, the unfortunate part is that is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 7-ish damage throughput talent you want to have talented into your Clash Tree, which leaves a bit less, not a whole lot of flexibility when it comes to taking talents like Swift Artifice, or Banish, or Dark Fury, or Amplified Curse, or even Fiendish Stride, right? Because you're locked into a lot of abilities here that cost 2 points. I think you could easily reduce Sagara Technique and Sarkathar's Guile to 1-point talents, and even if you want to leave these at 2, for like the damage they bring, also, sorry, Soul Conduit as well, being number 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for damage effects here. You can make these 1 talent points if you wanted to, which I'd be fine with. I like that, but I think realistically, shaving these down to like 1, 1, 1, 1, even leave like this and this at 2, it's fine. I'm not sure. Make these 1 points. All these defensive nodes, it makes it hard just to find other options in the tree and take other options, right? I mean, if you had these both being 1 talent points, it would technically start pushing other talents in this top row here to unlock other abilities, but you can backtrack coming off of these. Only putting 1 point in Soul Link, 1 point in Synergy opens up things like taking Swift Artifice, taking Amplified Curse, 1 point here, 1 point here. You can take Dark Fury, you can take Teachings if you want, you can take Lifeblood, which is also a 2-point node if it was 1 point, right? But you're basically locked into this shell with very little flexibility. While I like Swift Artifice, it probably should be baseline, being honest. Most classes with the talent into their cast time reductions on battle reses and all that, but that's whatever. while I do like this ability, I'm probably not going to play it anywhere because I don't have many flexible points here. If I'm going into an M plus setting, I'm probably playing something like this realistically. I'm playing Shadow Fury. I like to have Dark Fury. You know, I'm not planning anybody dying in M plus. Obviously, it's going to happen, but I mean, you know, when it comes to this, you've wanted this for a while. I can't really get it because I have the talent in the two, and it just feels a bit limiting. So if we could sweep through the class tree again one more time, maybe look at some positioning talents, a bloat talents like Lifeblood, Accrued Vitality, which haven't been played in a whole lot of spots. Maybe in PvP a bit, I'm not sure. Maybe other options are better, removing things like Resilience or Barrier. I'm not sure. But a sweep through the tree again, to look at things that are a bit unnecessary. Things that can be pruned to one talent point would be greatly appreciated if possible. I want to hit on Soul Conduit here as well. It is a capstone, which I think is actually okay, but I don't think 5% for a capstone is okay. Summarizing it here, Demo spend shards much faster than Destro and Af do. So I think Soul Conduit likely needs to be 10% for the class tree across the board. Demo, Destro, Af. If you want to tune it per spec, you can make it 10 for Destro and Af, and leave Demo at 5 because you spend shards a lot more often, generate shards a lot faster. But either way, having it at 5% as a capstone feels very, very subpar. I ran like a 4-minute test here. FLA Soul Conduit gave me back 4 total soul shards. If you can, oh, I can zoom in here. I don't know. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I probably scuffed it. But playing Affliction with Hellcaller. Agony gave me 42. Empowered Unstable Affliction, which has been gone for a couple builds, gave me 6. And I wasn't even playing a talent in the end. It wasn't good enough. Soul Conduit, my capstone, the class tree, gave me 4. So hopefully, we can get that adjusted, look at that a little bit, and go from there. Let's look at Demonology. So, a couple of these points have been mentioned in the previous feedback document. Some new ones are added in here as well. One that I did mention last time is actually, let me get rid of this. This is annoying me in the corner here. One that I did mention last time is Umbral Blaze positioning. So, Umbral Blaze is right here. Right below it is Pact of the Imp Mother. Now, this side of the tree is a little more like AoE-centric and based on all that. You have like Implosion, Imp Gang Boss, other cleave-based abilities here, but at the same time, you have Power Siphon, things that, you know, are universally applicable when it comes to those settings and things, right? The thing is, having Umbral Blaze in this spot, in the center of your tree here, it's an ability that it's more or less a single target ability. I mean, it is a single target ability, right? You're not tab targeting handing lands around when you apply Umbral Blaze. The damage effect stacks, sort of similar to Devouring Plague, right? The problem is, like, you have a single target ability leading into a universally relevant ability Impact of the Imp Mother. It works in single target. It works in AoE. It works with Implosions. It works with Tyrant building, all that, so on and so forth, right? I feel like something that needs to change for Umbral Blaze. I suggested here, either swapping positions here so you can get Pact of the Imp Mother earlier, not the talent into something like Umbral Blaze in AoE possibly to get Pact, which you probably don't do, or realistically, you know, just put Pact here, put Umbral Blaze, or put Blaze here, put Pact here, and make it easier to access. To a similar extent, if you want Blaze to be more universally relevant, you could make Blaze apply a dot, you know, whenever Hand of Gul'dan lands, similar to Hand of Doom from Legion and things, where it would apply the Umbral Blaze dot. Maybe it does less damage if it hits more targets. You could square root it, whatever. But that would make it relevant in single target, as well as AoE, because you're pathing into Imp Mother below that, which is also a universally relevant ability. In its current form, I don't mind Blaze. I'm probably more a fan of it than most, but in its current form, just really a niche single target ability that, well, it does feel nice having the Devouring Plague effect attacked onto it. It's sort of subpar in a handful of settings, and being in that spot makes it hard to get Pact of the Imp Mother and other pathing below it as well. Things like Doom and or Flame Touch if you want it. Getting into Faharg and Shatug here, the fire and purple, the dogs in the raid, and Taurus dogs, the big dogs here, right? Quick bug. These are not working with Tyrant. They have indeed been made half a minute, like Vile Fiend. That was fixed. Very cool to see, because they do replace Vile Fiend. They are not being extended by Tyrant, which I'm assuming is also a bug. I'm hoping that it is. If it's not, it's going to remove a lot of their relevancy. So I wanted to point that out. Likely a bug. Hopefully it's fixed. To a similar extent, this is bugged as well. Not working at all for if you have a Vile Fiend and not these things. It doesn't work with either dogs or Vile Fiend on its own. So I think this is actually a pretty good talent, because this is a half-minute cooldown in your dog. When it works with Tyrant, it'll essentially be active for 45 seconds every minute. And your Tyrant some minute cooldown. So this is likely a pretty strong damage based ability for dogs and everything else when these are working with Tyrant, but until it's fixed, it's hard to test and, you know, all of that. But wanted to point that out. So this is hitting on the demonic core economy, Dreadstalkers, immutable hatred, and demonic cores. Demonic cores, we hit it on a million times. I'm not going to spend an hour on it, but I mean, demonic cores are part of Demon's identity, right? I think it is. I understand they want to draw in demonic core economy even more now compared to what they did, you know, a few builds ago and so on and so forth when they nerfed something before they nerfed dogs, basically. I think they removed demonic knowledge, but reducing dogs to 35% is, I just really don't think the way to go. I don't design games. I don't work for Blizzard, obviously, but having those dogs be consistent and consistently guarantee me a core or two cores when they expire makes the rotation fluid, smooth. You can plan on those cores coming in, whether you're in single target, Tyrant setups, AoE, implosion setups, so on and so forth. I had a setup earlier, a couple of days ago on stream, where I was trying to get Tyrant in combat, and I was getting ready to set up. I cast dogs. Lo and behold, I got my cores back. So that Tyrant setup was just, and nowhere near as good as you could have been, because I got 0 cores back from my dogs instead of 2, or even 1. I was planning on those cores coming in. Didn't happen. I had like a 6 imp Tyrant, some terrible Tyrant, because once again, my rotation is now RNG based. And when it comes to that, having a minute Tyrant, short cooldowns and all that, you want consistency. I understand that cores may still be too wild, you know, in Blizz's mind. If that's the case, and so be it, you know. I don't think they are, but either way, I think if you're going to hit cores, you really need to revert dogs to be 100%. I'd even take just getting 1 guaranteed core from a dog set instead of, you know, maybe 2, maybe 0 at 30%. I think having 2 guaranteed is obviously optimal for rotational consistency, fluidity, and all that. But if they want to hit core economy, you can hit the chance that pets have to give you a core that despawn naturally, imps and things like that, right? There's a chance to get, I think it's 10% whenever imp expires, you get a core. You can hit that. But honestly, like, it just feels really bad sometimes not being able to consistently have CDs for your Tyrant and everything else. You probably got to hold your siphons to guarantee better Tyrants depending on core refunds in combat, and that just feels bad. That's once again getting into that weird window of like, all right, well, half minute cooldown, but you have 25 here. You know, are you going to hold it for that? Or do you get good procs? Do you get bad procs? How do you work it? And that feels bad. That feels awkward. And it leads to RNG and rotation, which is not what Blizz wanted. Said that. So please revert dogs. Also, Hatred probably sucks now because cores are really bad. But who knows? Probably tune it later on. So hitting on capstone talents here for Demonology a little bit. More so looking at like brutality, improved demonic tactics, impending doom, and even like shadow touch and foul mouth. I feel like you could likely combine these abilities together, like combine brutality, combine tactics into one. Having the doom damage increase in the shard gen part here separate. Really, the shard gen part's awkward because doom itself has generated shards for a very long time passively. It sort of feels how like soul strike and fellification used to be, which is like fine, but I mean they sort of split it up, you know, last patch. But I should just combine these. Could easily combine these two, maybe even combine like Shadow Touched and Foul Mouth to like maybe clean up the bottom tree here a little bit, because there are times where I do want to have like, you know, maybe like, you know, this talent with this talent in single target, but I can't get it, but they both feel sort of lackluster on their own, but together they feel worth it and strong and worthwhile. Something to consider at the end of the world. There is that. Finally, I want to hit on briefly here is the Diabolus Infernal Bolt reduced cast time, which is hard to sort of show in game here from time to time, but basically, if you play Diabolus, it had Infernal Bolt procs when you're spamming Shadow Bolt. Infernal Bolt will essentially empower your Shadow Bolt, making it like a 0.6 second cast, which also is affected by Rune of Shadows. No GCD, like a 0.6 second cast, and it procs and occurs so quickly, you really can't process, oh, hey, this procced, it's casting, stop spamming Shadow Bolt. And giving you 3 shards out of nowhere instead of 1 pretty much always caps you on shards for the most part. Sometimes not, but what I quite often find is I'm spamming Shadow Bolt to build shards, Infernal Bolt procs, I go from like 2 shards, you know, like 2, essentially going to go to 3, casting Shadow Bolt, I go to 5. But I'm still casting Shadow Bolt because it happened in 0.4 seconds. And the spell queue window affects that, right? The fast cast time, no GCD also affects that. A way to fix it is probably just making Infernal Bolt's cast time longer, but you can increase the damage on it, so it still feels relevant. make it give you 3 shards still, increase the cast time, but having a 0.6-second cast out of nowhere, no GCD, it feels good to play with, but like it feels awkward when, oh cool, I hit 5 shards and I'm casting Shadow Bolt. Actually stop casting and then casting on the Ghoul. The cast sequencing feels awkward. So hopefully that's looked at. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, that's basically Demonology. Moving into Affliction here. So Affliction is honestly, I think, not in a terrible spot. I don't love the 2/2 nodes up here, but honestly, this part of the tree isn't terrible. I think the capstones are actually pretty good too. The biggest thing right here, I think the biggest issue is here in gate 2. And I can summarize it. I don't know what this even says. I wrote it 2 days ago, but point being, I know what I'm talking about here. I've looked at it a million times. Having these 2-point nodes here, having, 2 points in Malediction, 2 points in Contagion, wanting 2 points in Cold Weak everywhere, even though it's more AoE based, it's still an 8% Rapture increase in single target, which makes it pretty relevant in everywhere, right? I have to spend essentially, and I can pull points out of here, right? Like, let's just backtrack, right? So let's say we're in single target. I'm trying to build a build here. Let's back up a bit. Let's just clear us out. Sure, let's do this. Right side of the tree, right? So I'm spending points here. We're going single target, whatever, doing this. I need this, and whatever, sure. So I get to this row here. I got to spend 12 talent points to unlock row 3. All right, it's a single target. I'm going to take Singularity. I want Infirmity, that damage increase window. I want Embrace. I want Shadow Bolt, one of these two likely. I want Haunt. I want Improved Haunt, essentially, quality of life, damage increase, all that. I want Shadow's Embrace. You want this now in PTR. You likely won't at some point whenever they nerf it, but I mean, there's sort of that. If you're playing Hellcaller, you're going to want Slacker Lash, because Wither is, corruption. With Hellcaller, it's very strong. So we'll say there's a point there. I'm not going to put it there, though. Dark Lair is worth it in single target. I hate to break it to you. It is. So you get to this point, but I have 4 points left here. And I want to go, points here, and points here, and points here. I also want to put a point here, currently on PTR. But I certainly want to put a point here, and I want to fill this in as well. And the problem is, like, I can't do that because 2, and then, 2 are needed here, but I'm already in my bottom row here. And pulling points from your bottom row to fill in nodes up here always feels bad, right? So I have to go, all right, well, I'm not playing Improved Haunt, so I'll take this instead. I want this, but I can't really get this, so I'm just foregoing it, and it feels bad. I still want to point up here to put in Dark Virtuosity, because Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul do a lot of damage, but I'm also already missing out on this. I'm missing out on Improved Haunt, which is, quality of life. I'm missing out on Malevolent Visionary, which is actually not bad in single target. It might even be worth playing in single target, but I can't get this, can't get this, can't get this, and can't get either of this because there's these 2-point talents here, and like the odd quality of life ones, which I like Improved Haunt for the quality of life it brings, but like, it's just, this part of the tree is still a bit too clogged here, and I'm not really sure how to address this besides making these points 1 talent. But if you do that, you have to put in new talents as well somewhere else to compensate for reducing talent points in the tree. So I'm not sure, but it feels very convoluted in this area. This right here feels pretty good, though. Down here, for the most part, you can typically get whatever you want, for the most part, barring highlighting a couple things here, which we'll get to. So there's that. The main issue with After, I think, is in Gate 2. Gate 1 is fine, for the most part, barring these being awkward, but whatever. And Gate 3, I think, is fine, too. Siphon Life versus AEC. The big thing here, they're too close tuning-wise. 15% increase, 20% increase. The healing here is relevant. We need to buff Siphon Life or have it affect like Unstable Affliction or Agony as well, because currently you're probably just going to play AC with Hellcaller and play this thing and have like a really short Wither and just never cast it again. It saves you multiple globals with the course of a fight. Put up Corruption once or Wither once and never hit it again. It probably needs to be like double what Siphon Life has, like 50% or something like that, or have it affect like UA and Agony as well. Because buffing Corruption by 50% means a lot for Hellcaller. Probably add Agony and UA to this, and just leave Absolute Corruption, corruption based to solve the issue of, hey, I'm playing AC in single target. If Blizz is okay with that, then sure, leave it that way. I wouldn't mind that personally, but want to draw attention to that. Death's Embrace, this is around before. They move it down here actually, which is interesting. It is one of your capstones. TLDR, this is old Death's Embrace. When a mob hit 35% health, basically all your spells started hitting a lot harder. It would ramp harder and harder the lower the mob was in health. This is current Death's Embrace. This is horrendous. If it stays in this form, just delete it. It is sad. It makes me sad reading this current Death's Embrace. The old version was really, really cool, and it being a capstone in this spot here, I think this version is justified right here. Make this, and dude, AF like skyrockets in popularity and excitement for me. I like it already. It feels fun, but Old Death's Embrace was so much fun. And we had it for one tier and then it went away, or one or two. It was so much fun. Please bring back Old Death's Embrace. I would love it. Everybody would love it. Honestly, it would fit current AF, I think, really well. Perpetual Instability. This is a new talent here. Unfortunately, it's just not very good, I don't think. It reduces the cast time of UA, but you cast UA once every 15, 16 seconds or whatever. Not that big of a deal. It's not Rapture or Chaos Bolt. At the same time, whenever you refresh it, it does damage, but you're refreshing it once every 15, 16 seconds. I think a better solution to this, just introduce Cascading Calamity. Bring this back from BFA. It'd be great. You can maintain the haste buff for 15 seconds. UA lasts, I believe, 21? Yeah, so it would reward you to refresh Unstable Affliction every 16 or so seconds, which is the pandemic window with that extra haste buff. Cascading Calamity fits perfectly in here. This is like a perfect slotting. Just drag this here and put it there. It would be great, but in its current form, I don't think you play this anywhere. There's no point in playing this. The cast time is just, the reduced cast time doesn't really matter, and the damage is not very high either. But Cascading Calamity would be solid. If the damage increase was if the damage like effect was increased drastically here, maybe it'd be okay, but I don't think it would be, unfortunately. It just seems sort of awkward, but hopefully Cascading Calamity, hopefully Death's Embrace. And then finally, Malign Omen and Dark Harvest positioning. I'd love a world where these two swap. So it's like Soul Rot into Malign Omen into Dark Harvest. I want Malign Omen everywhere. I probably want it, it feels like you want it more in AoE, possibly, maybe. I'm probably not playing Dark Lair in those builds in AoE either, but having this in AoE and single target would be great, because I'm also playing Oblivion in single target, and I want to cast that during my Rapture window when I have Malevolence rolling as Hellcaller. But it makes it tough after I cast a handful of Raptures and channel my Oblivion to get the last few Rapture, or last few shards spent, that generate over the course of Oblivion's channel, into a Soul Rot PS window. But it wouldn't be hard if Malign Omen was here. I could grab it easily and then have Dark Harvest down here. I don't think I want to path through Dark Harvest to get Malign Omen in single target. It makes quality of life better in single target AoE. It makes Rapture windows much better. It might be strong enough where you want it in single target based on how it plays currently with Oblivion, in Malevolence windows, in Rapture windows, so on and so forth. But Malign Omen requires you to cast Soul Rot to grant the stacks of it. It's not even like it's awkward being in this spot, because it's triggered off of, you know, Soul Rot. And then Dark Harvest triggered off Soul Rot too, but it's okay because you're pathing from Soul Rot here. So like putting Malign Omen here, putting Dark Harvest here as your end tier capstone reward for like mass AoE, you know, would be great. But having a skated back here, I don't want to path in this in single target. It might be worthwhile in Sims, but it feels really bad doing it. Putting it here feels much better. And it's a big quality life for AF, which is, you know, awesome. Oh, I also do want to hit on very briefly Dark Glare. Dark Glare feels like a pretty underwhelming cooldown. I'd love to see Dark Glare, like increase dot duration, obviously. Maybe make your dots tick more often as well. Sort of how Creeping Death does when it's active. Some kind of like rapid contagion. I don't think it's even gone. I don't know where it used to be. Like rapid contagion-esque ability. Something along those lines where it makes Dark Lair feel more impactful. It feels like Dark Lair is like an old era kind of cooldown where you had Death Bolt and UA stacking around. And it sort of works now because you have Rapture windows. But it felt better in the past when you had 5 UAs, you had Death Bolts to launch, you know, so on and so forth. But in its current form, it's certainly the weakest of all three like class-based cooldowns. If you look at like Crash and Chaos, Reign of Chaos, Reign of Tyranny, and Tyrant and all that. And there might be a world where, I mean, I'm currently not playing this thing in AoE. It might be worth it, but it's hard to justify as well. So I think just buffing Dark Lair's abilities, what it does, what's active, would be great. How do you feel more relevant? Because in the end, seeing my Dark Lair do like 4% of my damage in my breakdown in single target, even though it does increase dot duration and all that, feels pretty bad. All right, and the last thing we have here is Destruction. I'm going to hit on the first thing here, Cataclysm and Inferno. If I didn't hit on it, people would be angry about it. All the above, I have to. I will say that like having Cataclysm and Inferno separate, I would be down for it. All the above. You could even put like Rain of Fire here, Inferno here. Once again, just ditch Pyrogenics and play, you know, Rain of Fire, Inferno, and Cataclysm, which would require an extra point spent up here in AoE, which probably be, you know, justifiable. But having Kata, once again, for a million time, having Kata as a way to apply the mass apply, Immolate, or Wither instantly in M+, in AoE, so on and so forth, feels really, really good. Shadow Priest has it with Shadow Crash. Aff has it with Vile Taint. We just need a way to do it. Going into everyone's been there where you go into a pack, or you're playing Inferno, and you're like, immolate, 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 immolate. The warrior and demon hunter is in there swinging and flailing around. I'm casting a dot, a dot, a dot. Eventually, if it lives long enough, you'll do some damage. But that's in those low keys. I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, Kata is, I guess, more or less maybe better in those settings, in those lower to mid tier keys. It's even good in higher keys now with Wither and things for Hellcaller, but it shouldn't. I don't think it should be that way. It should be about quality of life. You want your class to feel good to play. Your spec needs to feel good to play. And I think Destro does feel good to play, but it would feel even better having both Inferno and Cataclysm. That would give you that even more consistent damage profile in AoE, and plus without having that insane scaling that it has currently on retail now, with Inferno being different. So please just Kata or Inferno, Kata, and delete this thing. That's that. This is the old tree, but I'm not getting rid of it. It's the same thing. I'll put a different picture up. Sure, it's fine. I forgot the changes, but it's okay. Chaos Incarnate. So this is from the last time around. This was tested again, and it was also confirmed again to be a DPS loss at 70%. The way Destro works, your baseline, you gain a baseline. Okay, I'm just going to read it because it's confusing. So, but that was a graph showing what a 70% Chaos Incarnate would equate to. A reversion to 100% would alleviate the issue, otherwise the talent is likely to be selected. The talent is currently a nerf. So, the way Destro currently works with its mastery and everything, you'll always gain a baseline 50% of your mastery as a bonus or whatever, up to 100%. RNG rolls, essentially, right? Now, I can do basic math. Middle, a 50, and 100. 75. So there's that, right? There's that. This always makes it 70. And this is, we thought it was, increasing the baseline amount from 50 to 70. So it would be 70 to 100, and not, be 50 to 100. But no, this is just, you always get 70%. It's not good enough. It's literally a nerf to play as talent. Unless both tests, which have been run conclusively, are wrong for whatever reason, this is currently a nerf. You don't play this. So it needs to be buffed to maybe 85%. You can just make it 100 again. Honestly, it's fine, but it's not worth playing. It's a nerf. It might come later on in tuning. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, here it is. Like, right, minimum amount 8%, max amount 16. This is what 75 would give you. This is what 70 gives you. It's less than what the average of our normal mastery is. Moving on here, Dimensional Rift talents. So Rift is actually in the middle of the tree. I skip Infernal here. Where's Infernal at? I had it in Infernal. Oh, here we go. I skipped this. So I just can't see. Sure. Infernal for here. Infernal. I think moving Infernal back to the middle of the tree where it was a couple builds ago is likely the best play. I like the reasoning behind putting Rift here. You can get it early on. It's, a spell you can cast in the move, so on and so forth. It feels good. But I think, number one, for consistency's sake, having Infernal and Darkglare and Tyrant all right here makes sense for newer players, for learning new specs while leveling, which I've referenced a million times, leveling. But either way, having it here means you're always guaranteed to take your Infernal. Same for Aff and Demo with Darkglare and Tyrant, right? Mostly for Aff, but there's that. But the thing is like with Darkglare being, with Tyrant, with Infernal, it's 5 in the morning, being down here, it puts you in a spot where you're sort of feeling like you should play the talents Crushing Chaos and Reign of Chaos, and maybe you should, but it's limiting for your capstone talents here. For example, in single target, I want to get, I'm not playing as currently because it's bugged, but I want to get Soulfire in single target, but I also want Burn to Ashes, I want Embers, I want Soulfire, I want Ruin, I want Improved Chaos Bolt, I want Devastation, right? But spending 3 points of my Infernal down here, I can't get Soulfire, I can't get, this if it's fixed, and you likely put Rift down here again, so your choices would be, Soulfire, Decimation, Ruin build here, or more of a Rift-based build, right? But having Infernal here feels awkward, and there are builds floating around that aren't even playing Infernal. They're playing baseline Infernal or no Infernal at all, and they're playing Soulfire and single target elements, and we're getting into that world again where you might not want to play your Infernal. Putting it up here alleviates all its issues. Just, I think going back up here feels good. You're getting a big cooldown early on in your character progression, all that. Put it back in the middle here, set it and forget it. We're playing our big demons everywhere, and that's just it. To to a similar extent here, dimensional rifts. If you move these back down here in this area, you could go like, you know, rift. You could go rift here, this thing here, or here, whatever. You can put flame rift here, or you could even go rift, flame rift, this thing, and maybe like space time, something which you had before, right? I believe there was rift and then like 4 other nodes that buffed it. I mean, 3 is a bit much, to be fair, buffing a talent here. Maybe just go like rift, this thing, and flame rift down here. But either way, like, rift in its current form feels pretty bad. The damage is pretty low. They don't cleave. The little embers are gone from our tier bonus, and this thing's refund rate is very low as well. It'll likely be buffed, but there's no bonus to this off of Fire and Brimstone either, unfortunately. It feels very subpar. If it's supposed to feel like how our Infernal did, being right here, it does not in the slightest. It actually feels pretty boring to hit. Rift likely needs more talents to build upon. It needs Flame Rift. It needs the Embers to cleave. If you can do that, maybe put Flame Rift on here as well as a 4th Rift and add another talent. You can get like Embers to cleave, or put Ember Cleave in here as well. Then it will feel okay, but it feels very, very like bland and vanilla being right here. So I think you put Infernal back here, put Rift down here, get more room to build upon your rifts if need be, and just build from there. But either way, even if they stay in their current spots, that's, you know, sort of much like the thing, you know. Soulfire positioning, talked about this a minute ago already. It's hard to grab because of like, you want Burned Ashes, you want Diabolic Embers, you want Chaos Bolt, Ruin, Devastation, and single target, but I also want Infernal, I also want Crashing, I also want Ritual, I want, you know, Overlord, I want this, but I can't get Soulfire. Soulfire actually feels good. It is a single target ability, but I can't get it because all the abilities here that I already want. There's some bloat down here with talents, partially because Infernal's down here again. And honestly, certain abilities, I talked about it a bit here, could maybe be moved up, could be trimmed. Things like Power Overwhelming, Improved Chaos Bolt, and Infernal Brand could likely be removed, honestly. I think this is fine. Maybe fine isn't the word I should use. A reduced cast time, it always feels nice, but realistically, I mean, you can buff Chaos Bolt and reduce the cast time passively. This is not really played anywhere. This is undertuned. You can probably just trim all 3 of these, make pathing a bit better, and move Infernal back up here and solve some issues here and there, right? So that sort of encompasses all this bottom capstone stuff. Then briefly, I also wanted to hit on Raging Demon Fire and Wither extensions. It's bugged currently. Doesn't work with Wither all the time. Not sure what it is, but I feel like you could make RDF be like a 0.4 second increase per each bolt it fires, or increase the amount of bolts it fires and leave it at 0.2 for a longer duration increase. Because in its current form, it feels like it's about a 2-ish second increase to all your immolates or withers you have active. It's not a whole lot. It's basically RDF from retail at rank 1 and not rank 2. And you're playing a talent regardless because you're pathing through it, but it feels sort of like the ability is there. You can see the increase, but it feels like it's not functioning the way it should to feel good. It should be a longer increase. I don't need permanent immolates withers everywhere. I'd be down for that, but like, it feels like it's so small, it probably shouldn't be, you know, that low. So that is basically that. And also finally hitting on this for Diabolist, compared to Demonology, Destro spends a lot less shards. You know, boring being an AoE. Might want to look at tuning Diabolist Ritual shard generation, consumption, you know, comparatively to, you know, Demo. But besides that, that's mostly the stuff I wanted to hit on, honestly. And, oh yeah, that's that. So thanks for watching, guys. It wraps it up, and hopefully the video hit on certain points you guys wanted to hit on as well for feedback, for all the lock specs and the clash, and everything heading into beta of the War Within. We have raid testing starting in literally like 48 hours, 56 hours, something like that, and we are bugged to hell. But the cool thing is, probably a build coming before then, so hopefully the bugs are fixed with all the specs, and maybe some changes here and there. We'll see. I don't know. We are getting into beta, so it's almost more of a tuning part of the, well, beta. But we'll see where it goes, and hopefully a few things here and there still coming down the line for Warlock. So, all that being said, if you want weak wards, add-ons, or a link to this document, there's links to all that down below in the description. Before we end the video, like always, a massive shout out to my patrons for all supporting Patreon, y'all. Thank you a million times, like always. I greatly appreciate it. And heads up, the Warlock beta spreadsheet will be going live in a few days on Patreon as well. If you'd like early access to that, the Tier 3 Fellow Guard rank or higher gets that. And yeah, so we will see where it goes. I'll be streaming raid testing this Thursday and Friday, and plus this weekend as well on beta. It's going to be a slam-packed week. Lot to do, but I'm excited. Man, we're already in June for this year. It feels like we're in December, like in the Avarice, or I'm here to still race the world first, and honestly, in like 2.5 months, we're going to be another race the world first. I need help. We'll get it done, though. I'm excited. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.